Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions.
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each week we explore the different avenues of the great Disney universe. This week, for the first time in forever, yes, forever, we've got a full crew. Everybody's here. It's like, I think the eclipse brings everybody together, I guess. Which is good, because I didn't see it because it was friggin' cloudy in Connecticut. And I was working, so unless I was hanging out of the cab door of my dump truck, there was no way I was seeing anything.
It's not safe.
And it never even really got that dark, to be honest with you. It was on the highway, and I didn't really notice it. I mean, it darkened, but that was it, because we only got about 69-70% is what they set up here. So
Because y'all are Yankees. You don't deserve it.
I hate the Yankees.
That's all right. You get a full one in 2024, I'm sure.
That's what they're saying. You know, I saw the one in 1979. I was 3. So, anyway, before this gets derailed too early...
It was not time for that yet.
We are welcoming on another guest.
Woohoo!
And it's none other than Mr. Jerry the Skids from the Mouse Rants podcast. So, welcome, Jerry, to the Diz Explorers.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? My middle name is not the, so you don't have to say that part.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Just Jerry Skids.
That's me.
Okay. It's good. Well, from now on, I'll just call you Jerry.
That's also me. That's good. That works. I like it.
Along with having the previous mentioned podcast that Jerry and his partner Simone run called Mouse Rants. The reason we haven't having Jerry on this week to talk to him is that he was a cast member and part of the college program back in 2001. Just wanted to gonna chat with him about that and some other things, current states of the park, because I know he and I share a lot of the same feelings about what's going on, and many others as well. So it's always fun to talk about things of that nature. And have you been out to Disneyland, Jerry? I don't remember if you've...
I have not been to Disneyland since I was a young lad of 13, so I don't really remember much.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I've never been, so almost in the same boat on that one. All right, cool. And then he had the awesome opportunity of being able to go down to Walt Disney World the weekend that Universe of Energy and the Great Movie Ride were in their final days of operation. So I definitely would like to hear how that experience went for him and his traveling party. So I'm just going to start off with... So what was it like being first of all, how do you get involved with the college program? Because I know my cousin was part of the college program, but he went because he was going to school to be a pastry chef. So he had the opportunity of working at the confectionery on Main Street and then ended up at the Grand Floridian in one of the bakeries there for the length of his, and I think he did 2 stints down there before he came back up here and finished schooling, I think, in New York. So did you go into this program with a specific, like, do you have to have a specific area, or can you just be like a general applicant, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, I'll start from the beginning. When I went down with my ex-girlfriend a long time ago, I was I'll use the words again, young lad of 18 years old. And we went down to just to, visit. I hadn't been there since I was 15. And before that, I used to go like every year. My mom used to take me down all the time. So I was a huge fan of the movies, huge fan of the park. I saw somebody was working there who looked like she was close to my age. And I was like, you know what? How do you get a job here? And she told me it's easy. They have a program, the college program, and she explained everything to me. What I found out was that they go around and recruit people. What you have to do is go to the website. Now I don't know what it is. It can be completely different. But back then it was just www.collegeprogram.com. It's probably something completely different. Maybe it's the same thing. Who knows?
Right.
But it's probably with the .go and whatever they have now.
Yeah.
And it shows you all the different classes and what you can take, and you're forced to take 2 classes. Now, whether you go to those classes is one thing or another. You're supposed to, or else you don't get the credit. See, they give you 12 credits, and again, this is 2001, so things could have changed. But they give you 12 credits towards college, which is not even a full, boat. But I didn't really care about that. I wasn't really having fun where I was in college at the time. I went to the little recruiting thing, which was not that far. It was at a different school, so I had to get a ride over there. And I met the recruiter. I got an interview. You have to go back for the interview, and now they do it over the phone.
Oh, how personal.
Yeah, it's real personal. See, then they asked me my interests, my likes, what I wanted, and they put me exactly where I, would have wanted to be, really. So I don't think that that's even a question now. It's they're asking you over the phone. I can't see
probably
people would get a feel for who you are as a person,
right?
Which is probably why the cast members are how they are when you go down there. But anyway.
Yeah. All right, cool. That makes sense. So going into that and going through that process, so then where did you end up? What was your first, assignment or first job? Does everybody have to go through some sort of they stick in merchandising or stocking or anything like that, or do you get an on-stage position right away?
Well, they asked me when I was there what if I could pick whatever I wanted. What job would I? Not specific, not a specific attraction or anything. Just
right.
Where would you want to be? So of course the first thing I said was entertainment, because I have a theater background and I figured why not? I didn't get that, but they did let me go to attractions, which is my second. They tried to trick you though by saying, "Oh, do you really like people?" And at the time, I kind of did. Now I don't like anybody. But I'm like, yeah. They're like, do you really want to just get in and talk to everybody? And you could go around the entire park and talk. I'm like, sure. What's the job? She's like, it's called a showkeeper. And I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And they're like, well, you get to talk to everybody. You get to answer questions. They're going on. They're saying the same things over and over. And at some point, I was like, "Are you asking me if I want to be a janitor?" And she's like, "Well, we call it a showkeeper." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's all right. My second choice will be attractions, and after that, I guess merchandise if I have to." But because I've been doing retail, and luckily I did get attractions, and I worked at Star Tours. They originally wanted me, so I originally was going to be in the Doug Live thing, but that was closing. So if anybody remembers that in MGM Studios.
Yes.
So I'm already down there at the time, and I don't have a job. Everybody else is going to work. I'm just sitting there, and they call me and they say, "Okay, so we know you're in MGM Studios, and that's where your paychecks are coming from. So we're going to have to find a spot for you. Is there anything you prefer?" So right away I said, "Great movie ride," because again, I'm an actor. It's what I do. And they were like, "Nah, there's a waiting list." I was like, "Okay, how about Star Tours?" Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and that's where they put me. So I was attractions at Star Tours from January 2001 all the way up until August 2001. And eventually you get to cross-train. So halfway through my program, they put me in Fantasmic, which really isn't training. It's really just cleaning up after people and then watching Fantasmic the entire time, which is fun.
Yeah.
So I can sing the entire thing, which I won't do, but I can sing the entire thing from beginning to end with the dance moves. We're not doing it, though.
No, we're not. Just
Thank you.
No video. Oh, so you weren't so you were there, so Fantasmic, in 2000. So did they have that? What was it? 4 for $1? Was that the pre-show?
No, that was for Beauty and the Beast, and I loved it.
Yeah, they were great. No, I know. I liked them better than the show.
Yeah, we just had the pre-show of all the. I don't know if you guys remember the album of Mouse House, but it was like house music. Yes, and so you had like all these great versions of it. And then when I say great at the time, it's just because I worked there and heard it every day.
Yeah. So if you didn't enjoy it, your head would have exploded.
Oh, yes, exactly. And at one point, they stopped caring, and I was able to bring my lightsaber from my other job, and I was using that to guide people to their seats. So
nice.
Whatever you can do to get through the day.
Well, it's not much better now, because now they do it's just the generic, that they do at every stadium. Everybody on this side scream, everybody on this side scream, yay.
And the wave, they did not do the wave. No, it was not a thing. I mean, it was a thing, but not in Phantasmic when I was there.
I don't stand up for the wave.
Neither do I, believe me.
And then the other horrible thing they do is they do like they'll play part of a song and then they stop it and they have people from the audience, sing the next lyric or something like that, which is always hysterical.
I've seen that. That's been a while since I've seen that. But yeah, I've just seen them do that. They do that to Simone, and Simone can't sing, so it's very funny.
It's just amazing to see the people that freeze, because that would be me, even though I know the lyrics to 99% of all the Disney songs. Once you stick the microphone in my face, I'm like, A dream is
So, sorry to be the ignorant Disneyland person, but is this a pre-show to Phantasmic, like a warm-up?
Yes, because you have to get there 3 hours in advance. Yes.
Ugh.
Well, because it's in a seated, like, holds like 10,000 people arena, more or less. They
amphitheater kind of
thing.
They
built like a whole amphitheater just for Phantasmic. So yes, you have to queue up. If you don't get a dining package or a fast pass for it, you got to queue up at least an hour, and that's even pushing it sometimes if you want to get a seat. There's standing room in the back, which is kind of cool because the concession stand is right there, and you don't have to keep getting up getting beers if you like to do that. But
and you're the first out when it's over.
And you're the first out. Yeah, it's a giant. I mean, I enjoy the show, but I don't mind waiting. I can't wait that long.
I don't mind waiting, but I hate waiting.
Well, not for that. I mean, not for like an hour and a half. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I'm not going to burn a fast pass on it. And there's no restaurants there worth doing a dining package for. I at least to me there isn't. So.
No, I'm with you.
Brown Derby, if you get the most expensive thing on the menu, you do a little better than breaking even.
Right.
But
true.
That's your only bait. At least they let you get an appetizer on like the dining plan.
Right, that's true. But I think the Brown Derby, which I've never eaten there, I think I'd be more interested going there for the. I guess they do like the little lunch thing now, where you can just eat out and have some cocktails and appetizers on the in the outside area. So that's kind of more my speed for Brown Derby. But all right, cool. So Star Tour. So you the same location every day, like either beginning of the line or loading or fast pass collection or.
Yes, and yes. Basically, the way they do things is in a rotation.
Okay.
So you at the beginning of the day, you go to the computer, you log your name in and everything, and it prints you out this sheet that tells you where you're going to be at the beginning of the day. So let's say it says Simulator 3. It means you're running the simulator. You're the person who goes in there and checks all the seatbelts and gives you a little spiel and makes sure nobody dies.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then at some point during the day, someone goes on break or someone, comes to work. So they log in and then it makes this whole rotation go around. They get this big sheet of paper, and you'll see it now that I mention it. You'll see people walking around with these long sheets of paper. And let's say someone comes up to me with a sheet of paper. I look at it and it tells me to go now to greeter. So I got to go outside. Et cetera, throughout the day. This way, no one gets bored in one spot, and also no one just gets stuck at the bad job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that can happen. Like, nobody wants to be stuck at the unload, where you're just saying goodbye to everybody the whole time, because you're not doing anything. So it keeps people more fresh, I suppose. I guess that's what they're going for. But I'm happy with that. When I came back to New York, I worked at the World of Disney for a while, and they did not understand the concept of rotations. And it got boring when you get stuck up on like the third floor where nobody else is except for you.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's a whole other story. But yeah,
I could see it getting very monotonous.
yes. So I'm coming from a place where I'm like, no, we did these things where you get a piece of paper and now I could be on the second floor. Now I could be in action figures. I mean,
Right.
come on. No.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
No.
They're like, huh? No, I don't think so.
Okay. I tried.
Yeah. I'm here now. I'm staying here. You go upstairs.
Thank you. But yeah, so we got to do a little bit of everything, which is great because, even though you get stuck with, like, my favorite was when you go to the tower. Now the tower is like where it's kind of like a security room, so you feel like you're important.
Right.
You have to literally watch all the different rides, and again, make sure nobody dies, but also make sure that nobody's videotaping or anything.
Oh,
so
okay.
you get to be the voice of God. Like if someone pulls out the camera, you could stop all the audio and just go, "Sir, can you please
Oh, that's
put
awesome.
the camera away? You're ruining
That's so
the ride."
fun.
Like,
So that everyone looks at them, and it's great.
which is like every time you go on Pirates with all the tourists that don't speak English that are taking flash pictures, and they constantly have to say, "No flash pictures, please."
What is
Yeah.
the logic of that? The picture's going to come out horrendous anyway.
I know.
The
You should always be taking pictures without flash. You know how great they look without flash? Keep it that way.
That's right, exactly. The worst is staying in MGM. The people that do it during the Voyage of the Little Mermaid show.
Oh,
I want to get up and beat people on the head.
Now that I haven't seen, although I don't go to the Voyage of the Little Mermaid show that often anymore. But I've never seen that. But I could imagine it being
Last
awful.
time I was there was a family sitting in the front row, and a dude was firing off his flash, and I think the woman came and said something to him once, and then the second time escorted him out.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Because if she wasn't going to do it, I was going to go do it.
Look, I wish they would do that in Broadway theaters for people who are just on their phones. You pay like $150 to watch a show, and then somebody pulls out their phone right next to you, and they're like, "La la la!" What's the show going on? What are you doing?
You should
and
be
the
able to-
ushers don't care.
No, you should be able to take said phone and throw it as far as you can.
Believe me, if it was not against social mores, I would.
All right, so. Okay, so that was a typical. So was the shift? Were your shifts like all day? Was it from opening to closing, or was that separated as well?
Well, they call it part-time, but it's not part-time.
Right.
Again, I think now the laws are like a lot stricter, and so they are, forcing them to get a certain amount of hours. I believe that they're not allowed to do overtime, or they just frown on overtime now. When I was there, they were just like, "You want to pick up a shift? You want to pick up a shift?" I was like, "Yes, I need the money.
Yeah, right.
I want to go to Virgin Megastore in downtown Disney
and
Thank
spend
you.
it all."
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it was a full day pretty much most of the time. But you got like every once in a while a 4-hour shift. But I liked having a full day because you can get a longer break and then go to ride Rock and Roller Coaster on your break and come back. And
Nice.
of course, since the cast members all know you, there's no line. They're just like, "Yeah, go in." It's
Go
fine.
ahead. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So there's like an honor code among cast members,
And depending on who you are.
depending on who you are, right? I can imagine.
I know a few people who would not get anything, but that's just
Yeah.
another
No,
story.
I can imagine. No, I can imagine. You could pick up on things if you pay attention sometimes. So
Yes.
I could only imagine how the ranking goes sometimes. All right, so we did that, and all right. So so that was so January to August. So that's then 8 months. So is that a typical semester, for lack of a better word, or do you have to, like, how many can you do more? Can you stay? Can you?
Well, what I was doing was called the hold on, was I spring? Yes. Wow, I can't figure out my seasons. It was the Spring Advantage. So really, like, it's from January to, I don't know, May, I think it was. But you can extend to do the summer also. So they call it like the Spring Advantage program. And then they have a Fall Advantage program, which starts in the summer and ends in December. So I picked, not that I picked it, it's just that's when I chose to go, is in the early time, and I extended it right away because I knew for a fact there was no way I was going back.
Right.
But it's a lot goes on because it's not just, work, you're also in this like dorm room with all these people, and it's just, it's crazy. I mean, it's well, it depends on where you stay. Like I was in the new dorms. I was at Chatham.
Okay.
At the time they were new. Now they have like Patterson or something like that. I don't know. But at the time it was like brand new, and it was the quiet place. So I was like, okay, so if I live in the quiet place, because you get to choose if you're like, first off the bus.
Right.
You live in the quiet place, but then you go to Vista Way to have fun.
I've heard.
And then you can come back and sleep because you'll be able to. There's no sleeping at Vista Way.
I've heard stories of Vista Way. Yes.
Oh yes.
Sounds
there
like
might be fake ones if you listen to Swoozy, but
Yeah, no, I don't think these were fake, or maybe they were. But either way, that sounds like Vista Way was pretty much Animal House all the time.
Yeah, well, maybe not all the time, but pretty much at night. Yes.
At night, yeah.
And then they had the Commons, which is where at the time was the all the international students were there, so that was a whole party in and to itself. But you gotta kind of be invited. It's like because they have their own weird Epcot club.
Oh, I was gonna say that's where they put up the people on their 1-year work visa. That's where they had they all had to go in their own place. I wondered about that, where they housed them. Weird Epcot club, yeah.
No, I mean, because look, the Europeans know how to party more so than the Americans do. I mean, being there, it was like a fact. So you'd rather go to a Commons party than to a Vista Way party because,
right.
First of all, they're all much more mature.
I can imagine.
Second of all, they're more low key and also more fun because they played games.
Right, and they know how to handle themselves. They've all been drinking since they were like 10.
Too, especially the French. They want to have they have to have wine with every meal in the bottle, please.
Germans too.
Yeah. Well, beer, yes.
Yes, beer, yeah. All right.
But yeah, that was. I mean, typically it would be until I believe May, and then you can extend until August, and then vice versa, where you begin. I'm assuming in June, or even maybe I don't know how early, and then it ends in December. So we're in early January.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can tell when the new cast members are there. Like if you go in January or if you go in like May, there's an influx of new cast members, and you can tell.
You could pick them out.
Because they're all like fresh, from college, and they're like, yay!
Yeah.
But go in like March, it's all. Yep, it's another day.
Yeah, a bunch of disgruntled 18-year-olds.
Just waiting to have the day over so they can go to Pleasure Island.
That's right, yeah. R.I.P. Pleasure Island.
Yeah, R.I.P. pretty much everything we're talking about right now.
Pretty much, yeah. So, all right, so let's do a hypothetical or not scenario, I guess. So say you got into what you wanted to do eventually. Say you got a role in Movie Ride, either being one of the characters in one of the scenes, in one of the live-action scenes. Would you have had the opportunity after your college program to stay on as a full-time cast member? Like, are you offered a position, or do you have to then reapply as a full-time employee?
So when you are discharged, as I'll say, from Disney, they give you a review. Or an evaluation, and that evaluation basically says, can you ever work here or not? It really is like ever, right. Because they're so strict, and I'm gonna just slightly go off because people got kicked out of the program for literally nothing. So
I can
we
imagine.
can go into that if you want to, because it's not anything that crazy. It's literally, I had a friend. Her name was Claire. She was awesome. One of my best friends. She had the same birthday as me.
Okay.
Just a year younger, and she went to hang out with a friend at night, and somebody hung up. Goodbye, whoever that was. Sorry that I'm offending you. I'm just kidding. So she went to go hang out with her friend that night, and she realized she forgot her wallet when she got to the car. But when you come back into Chatham, you have to come back in through the front door. You have to show your ID, but there is a back gate, and the back gate was directly next to her housing unit. So she just kind of not jumped in, but she opened the gate, went in, got her wallet, left, and that was it. It was like a 2-second thing. And she slept over her friend's house, whatever. When she came back the next morning, there was an eviction notice basically on her door. It really was just a notice that said, "Come see housing." And when she went down there, they were like, "Yeah, you're off the program, and she can never work for Disney again."
Really?
Like, yeah, it's that crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was no explanation. There wasn't like, "Let's talk about this." It was a meeting that they basically were like, "You're done," and she couldn't even, barely even explain herself.
I was gonna say they probably don't even give you the chance. You're like, "All right, later."
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's why I said eviction notice, because it really, even though it was like, "Oh, we need to see you at the housing committee." Yeah, that was just a nice way of saying you're fired.
Yeah, they might as well just left like the red tag like they do it in your locker on sports teams. Why?
Yes.
Don't even bother explaining. Just say, pack your stuff and leave.
So when they do this evaluation at the end, that's kind of the same thing where it's like, well, if you pass it, you can come back. If you don't, well, too bad. It was nice knowing you. And there's a chance to do. I forgot what they called it. It was like I forgot the. Simone, do you remember the name of the program after you come back from college program? The second one. I don't remember. Anyway, you can come back to do a more like something that's more to your major. So I think you said somebody was a cook.
Yes.
Well, that would be that program, which is like it's like
So they
the
would like
alumni.
apprentice.
Yes, exactly. It was like the alumni of the program come back and they do this other, like an apprenticeship.
Internship kind of.
Right, that could lead to a job in Disney World.
Okay.
Gotcha.
A big one. Or you can also just come back and do another college program. That you can do as well.
Okay.
Until you're out of college. I know people who were back 3 times. So.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's a thing. So.
Yeah.
I mean. I wish that like they were able to help me, but they couldn't do it because I was a film major and they didn't really have anything for me in the parks.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. Not anymore, at least.
Well. Yep. It's funny because when I told them, I said, can I come back and do it? They're like, "Oh, well, we used to have a whole studio back here.
Yeah,
but
I know.
There's still some people who work here." I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'll talk to them."
Yeah.
I didn't.
There's like one woman in costuming still.
Yeah, only with costuming, and then you can talk to the animation department. They'll probably be there forever since Disney is an animation. Oh
No, sorry, never mind.
no,
Never mind.
guess not.
Guess not. You can. Mushu runs that department now.
Uh-oh.
Not anymore either. So.
No, not anymore either. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. So I mean, it would have been great to come back and do something for that my life. I might be there right now. You wouldn't even know, but
That's right.
not the way it worked out.
Okay. Now, I've read up on what is their policies now as far as for the Disney code or the Disney look or whatever the hell they call it now. Was it? I got MSC, so early 2000s. I'm trying to think. I mean, a lot has changed since then as far as what people. The biggest thing I could think of that would. Facial hair has always been something now you can have I believe a full goatee, but no like handlebar or anything else. It's either a full goatee or nothing, and I know that's been fairly recent. I believe still earrings in men are not allowed at all. I'm trying to think of. Obviously, no visible tattoos. I'm just trying to think of then what would have been the biggest thing. Maybe piercings and gauged ears and stuff. I know that's obviously not allowed, but was there anybody that had to that would take their stuff out every day to do that? People with nose rings and everything else, they would just have to take them out every day or every time they came on stage.
Well, okay, so I had a friend who worked at Fantasmic with me, and she had a full-on tongue ring that she had to remove every single day. And I was like, doesn't that close up? She's like, I had to put it right back in after work. It's like,
yeah, that's a pain.
Yeah, so that was one thing. It's weird. The Disney lookbook, as they called it.
It is. It's on DisneyCasting.net. They have the whole Disney lookbook. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's insane. It's hysterical and it's insane. It's very cultish.
Well, the thing is, they want you to not be an individual, and that's, as much as I love the company, it's so true that they don't want you to be yourself. They say it in their commercials all the time,
right?
But they don't mean that for their employees. They just mean it for the listeners.
That's just for the guests.
Exactly.
That's just for the guests.
Exactly. Like, oh, be yourself. Be who you want to be. Okay, well, then if I want to be myself, I would have spiky hair and I would have,
Right.
But they don't do that. Now, when I was there, I found a loophole for a lot of things. Now, your hair length has to be a certain, at a certain point.
Right.
Now, I was able to get around that because I spiked my hair, but I still had it at the length that they allow.
Gotcha.
And if you look in the book, there's nothing that says you can't spike your hair. I got a couple complaints at first, but my managers eventually were like, "Meh, that's how he does his hair at the end." So I found my way to be an individual. Plus, I think someone commented. I posted my picture of my Fantasmic uniform or costume when I was, in our group.
Okay.
In the Mouse Rants group, and I think that somebody mentioned my shoes because Disney regulate the shoes have to be specific too. I don't even remember what it was, but I'm like, my sneakers are close enough, so I think I think it had to be all black. So I took a Sharpie and I
colored them in.
The gray, the gray in. I colored it black so nobody would notice. And
right.
Passed the entire time I was there. So you find your ways around it, but there were people. I mean, when you have tattoos.
Oh,
you have to wear a long sleeve all the time. Imagine doing that in Florida. Not fun.
No, not fun. Yeah. No, I know. I'm sure people did. Yeah, forget it. I'm doomed. But
you would be unacceptable now. I'm looking at the unacceptable hairstyles, and there's a spiky hair drawing. It's because of you, I'm sure.
You damn
it's my fault.
You damn hooligan. You ruined it for the youth.
It's all your fault.
I was a
the
great
spiky hair is gone.
So if I'm telling you, if you want to hear some, I know I'm sure you have funny stories too. But if you want to hear some funny cast member things, if you ever listen to Seabase Allison's podcast, Disney Phil, her podcast, because her sister, and I believe it's her sister's husband, they were all cast members, not together, at different times, but her sister's husband has like the most ridiculous stories about like stuff like that. Like I guess he worked in Epcot, and there was one thing he was saying about he showed up to work and he was a few minutes late or whatever, and whatever his uniform was, he was supposed to wear white socks and black shoes or something like that, but he flipped it around, and like when he got there, the manager's like, "No, you have to go back and change." He was like, "Well, can't I just like take the socks off and just wear the and like, no, he had to go back to his thing and change and come back. Like really wacky stuff. Like whoever's his manager would always either you went and you didn't do your shift, or you went and got changed, but I don't know, it was weird. He always had some wacky story that from when he worked there. But it seems like that they were very strict about the way they wanted you to, whether it be costuming or obviously your hair and everything else.
Right. There's certain things they would focus on, and that became like just like anywhere. That became like the thing of the month, really. It was like now everybody's really strict on their shoes, so let's look at everybody's shoes. I mean, it just became a thing because one person did something like completely outrageous, so now that becomes a thing. And it's just you see that now in they were complaining about the PCs. I mean, you talked about it on this show, the pirates,
yes,
the redhead situation. The second that becomes a thing, now that's the thing of the month. Everything has to be PC. So that it just
yeah, I got you.
It was the same with inside the company too. So.
Right. Oh, I got you. So all in all, though, besides all the crazy idiosyncrasies that you have to deal with, it was. I'm assuming it was a good experience as far as working there and in some aspect of a place that you enjoyed being, some place you'd been coming to as a youth with your family. Like, was it like something you were excited isn't the right word, but you didn't mind going and doing what you had to do every day. You didn't dread it until you.
No, it was the worst 6 months of my life. I wanted to kill myself every day. No, I loved it. It was.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because some people think like, oh, I'm gonna go work for Disney. It's I love going there as a guest, but then sometimes when you're on the other side of it, like the magic gets like sucked out because now you're not experiencing it. You're supposed to be creating it. So, I've not heard. Like I said, you're the first person that I've somewhat, I guess, call it an interview if you would, but that I've spoke to at length about it. I've spoken to elderly cast members who have been there for a while, either senior citizens who have been there many years, or being down there, you get to chat with them sometimes, and you hear how wonderful it is, or sometimes they're kind of truthful with you, and you're like, it's okay, it's a job, it's fun, but there are days where it's like, I don't want to hear the Mickey Mouse song or Zippity Doo Dah, So, I guess there's pros and cons.
Right. Well, I can say I can say a few things, but first thing I want to say is there's one issue that I had, and everything else was pretty much, in the top. I'll say every day was above 80%, except for one day. So I had a tragedy. It's the thing. But like, I had a tragedy in my family, and somebody passed away. I couldn't go, obviously, because I was here, and I would get fired, and you can't. When you have a part-time job, I'm sure all of you have been there, where you can't even take off at a certain time. And this particular one, it's a matter of, well, if you miss your shifts and you don't give them away, you're out of the company very much, which is not what I wanted. So, I was not happy, obviously, the next day, and I was outside and doing my thing as greeter, and I guess one of the managers noticed that I was just kind of staring into space. And yes, I know that I sounded like I had a lisp there, but I don't. I was staring into space.
Suffering fucking hash.
And so the manager comes up to me and he's like, "Can I just talk to you for a second, Jerry?" And I'm like, "Okay." So she pulls me to the side and she's like, "Yeah, is something wrong?" I'm like, "Well, my great aunt just died, so yes." And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Maybe it would be better if you just stayed in tower all day," which is the place with the security cameras. I was like, "Okay, fine." So it's like they try to just put. They didn't want to. Obviously they're not gonna fire you for it, but they're like, "We don't want you in front of the guests.
Yeah.
Why don't you go back?" And that kind of sucked, just because I was just like, "Oh man, you can't even talk to me for 5 minutes. I have nobody to talk to right now."
Right. I know. Yeah, it's like pouring salt on the wound instead of trying to make it better. It's like, okay,
you're not smiling. Go over there.
Since you look miserable and depressed, and we understand why, but go hide. Yeah, go up here where you can be alone with your thoughts.
Right. And that was the only time I was really annoyed with the way they handle things for the most part. But why wouldn't I love it there? I could literally, on my days off, just go to Epcot, get a croissant, and then go back home. That was something that, I love. And I wouldn't be able to do that again until my honeymoon, where I stayed at the boardwalk, which is a 5-minute walk. So I could get up and walk and get a croissant. And it was kind of that same feeling. And for me, especially for somebody who does like to just not go on rides sometimes and just kind of sit around, I was happy. I would go sit. They used to have this grassy knoll in I think it was in between France and Morocco, or was it Morocco? I don't know. There's a big grassy knoll over there that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
I used to just sit there and hang out and just listen to the music and, just chill. That type of stuff is stuff that I like to do. And so therefore I had a great time. The job itself was fun. Of course, you get the worst guest ever. You can cut this out if you want, but the Brazilian tour groups are not just bad for the guests. They're also bad when it comes to the cast members as well. They used to literally come onto the rides and then pretend not to understand you and put themselves in danger, as well as try to almost get me in trouble in terms of a seatbelt and just doing things that they're not supposed to do. Then after they exited the ride, they'd be like, "Oh, thanks." And they'd just be having conversations in English with other cast members. But when, so stuff like that would really be stressful. Cheerleaders were never fun, but it's stuff that you deal with. They used to give us these production shifts. And those are you have to literally be a bodyguard for the cheerleaders.
Oh,
to make sure nobody gets in.
Right.
This is probably not going to come as a surprise, but the cheerleaders were not that bad. The people that were bad were the mothers.
No, I was going to say, that's... Yeah, I totally could see that.
They would try to finagle their way into... They would just go out of their way to not follow the rules. The worst thing I would have to do is stop the cheerleaders from smoking in the corner.
Nice.
So it wasn't that bad, but... Shifts like that were... Yeah, exactly. And they would come... They'd try to wile me with their... They'd be like, "So, do you mind if we go over there and just..." Yes, I mind. I'm not gonna be falling in love with you or anything. Stop. Go back to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, you're not gonna go. You're not gonna go smoke your Newports and then come try to do tumbling in a pyramid while you're huffing and puffing out there. Nobody's having a heart attack on my shift.
I don't care about their well-being. Come on, man. I just don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, so shifts like that were like, nah, you'd have to deal with what you have to deal with. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, 85% of the time it was amazing. Plus the people I worked with, I loved, and I still keep in contact with some of them. So
nice.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, so good. So that's kind of how I figured it was for most people who do the program, and long-term employees. I don't know. I guess if you stay there long-term, I'm assuming you like it. I mean, it doesn't seem like a place depending on what your job is, especially if it's one of the more physical ones, that you would kind of stay at just because you liked it, or that you kind of liked it. That you weren't like
right.
Crazy ecstatic to go to work every day. So, I mean, you definitely do see some cast members that look like, oh, they're just going through the motions for either. I don't know what I would have to get in. I don't want to get into the whole inner workings of the corporation as far as what they provide for benefits and pension and all that other crap. But it seems
nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, that's what I was leading to. So even these people who kind of look miserable, they must still be enjoying it somewhat, because you're not getting anything after putting 40 years in as either an attraction host or food service or janitorial or any of that other stuff. So, unless you're walking around with an earpiece and a nice suit on, I don't think you're getting taken care of too well in the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, this is going a little bit beyond that, but when I was a cast member in New York, I came back to Florida to go on vacation, and I was working at one point at Disney Theatrical, so it was like a legit job, and I had like a silver pass, and ooh. They still treat cast members not so nicely,
Really?
Like,
yeah.
Like I was just telling the story recently to somebody, I don't remember who, but I had my silver pass at the gate, and there's a cast member entrance, and they started letting everybody in early, like 8:45 at Magic Kingdom, to see the welcome show. R.I.P. that too.
Yeah,
if Simone was around me. Yeah, and everyone's going in, and I go to the guy, so are you going to let us in? Because everybody else is going in. I'm the first one online. I was here really early.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not 9 o'clock yet. And I'm like, yeah, but as you can see, everybody else is being let in. And he goes, well, I'll let you in at 9. I was like, so if I go on any other line right now, I can still get in? He goes, well, you're a cast member? I'm like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure I could use my card anywhere, right? And
yeah.
he was just like, well, I'll let you in at 9. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that is just like, yeah, because cast members don't always treat other cast members nicely. Same thing with AP holders, but I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. That's for sure. That's pretty much on par what I was kind of thinking of how the experience would be being a cast member there. So, cool, man. Thanks for sharing all that.
No problem.
So, if I have a quick question, knowing now what you know about the Disney College program, if you could have picked a different area to work based on what your friends were saying and what you saw how college program participants were treated, maybe by their supervisors, if you could pick a area, go back in time and pick a new area, where would you work?
Well, I mean, obviously, because entertainment was my number one, that's where I would go no matter what. They're always treated like gold, anyway.
Entertainment, got it.
Yeah. But in terms of attractions, if I had to go somewhere else, I probably wouldn't, because I love Star Tours. I love Star Wars, so therefore I love Star Tours. And obviously, Great Movie Ride was again my first choice for attractions. And if they ever offered me one, I mean, if they ever did offer me before it closed, I would have definitely taken it, because I would have had a lot of fun doing that.
Because you love the movies.
Because I love movies. I do.
Dang, at Hollywood Studios? Movies? No.
Not anymore.
Not
now
anymore.
It's Disney XL Studios.
Now it's, yeah.
I know.
Disney Kaleidoscope Park.
Vince McMahon's taking it over. Grief. It's going to be the XFL.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of when I...
So was that survey real?
No.
No.
I get the idea.
Because I could honestly believe it, because it's so sad
so
over
out
there
there.
that anything's possible.
It was hysterical to see people in some of the more positive and everything is rainbows and unicorns, the 2 Disney groups that I'm in on Facebook, and just to see what people were saying, like, oh, that's a good name, or what if it's this, and what if it's this, and then like normal people who like understand that it's not the way it is would chime in and be like, oh, you realize this is not real. There was no survey put out about what to name the new name for the park, and like these people were like losing their minds. You're like, but it has the Disney thing, and I'm like, and it's just, oh god, I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Come on, wake up! They're not gonna survey the public on what the hell they're gonna name the park.
No, they're just gonna do it.
They're just gonna do it.
They're just gonna do it.
But just to see how excited people were getting about that list of 8 or 10 horrid names was hysterical. I'm like, are you people crazy?
It's just ridiculous.
Are you
Like,
crazy?
Wait till they start naming the new ships.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're running out of cool names for those
bad.
too.
Are there names floating around for the ships yet?
There always are.
They're just going to have dollar signs on them. One's going to have like $8 signs, the other one's going to have 10, and the other one's going to have like 20.
They should just name it after the names of the Disney park of the Epcot parking lots.
That's
Discover.
Yeah, Imagination. Heroes and villains.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right,
Just
so-
tell them shut up. Yeah.
Speaking of the park, so I just kind of want to segue into this part. So, being that you're a longtime fan of the parks and of the Disney company, you've been going there, as you said before, from being a little kid with your mom.
You could say little boy. It's okay.
So-
I was.
Aw, that's so
I was a
cute.
little boy.
I was
Little bitty Jerry the Skids.
No, the.
no
I'm from
capes.
the South. We call everything the. Okay, it's the Bojangles, the Walmart, the school, sorry.
Or people who put S at the end of everything. Blockbusters.
Yeah,
Like, I'm going to Blockbusters.
Yeah.
Are you?
That's us too. We went to the Walmart.
the Walmarts. Yes.
We
It's
have a
not
Kroger. We
Andorra.
call it the Krogerts. I don't
It's-
even know why that.
the
but
Twitters.
Krogerts. Krogerts.
Oh,
You're welcome.
boy. So yeah, you're welcomes. So
Where were we?
anyway, we were over there, and now we're over here.
I'm over here now.
So I'm over here now.
Oh, good Lord.
Anyway.
He was a little kid.
Being that some of us are now, I know everybody of us on the podcast, there are some that have been going since we were young, since the parks were in their early days, especially Magic Kingdom, and there's some
You
of us
can
who,
say 1970s. It's
who
okay.
started.
I don't get offended.
No, I'm not. I mean, I was there too, but I can't keep track of everybody's years. Jesus, I have a pint glass full of whiskey and iced tea.
Or wine.
No wine. We're not wine season yet.
It's always wine.
Except
season,
for my
honey.
kids, because it's time to go back to school.
Boo!
Hey, not me. I get to go to work every day. The hell with school.
I was doing your joke.
Oh. Hey, listen, we all know I'm not very good at jokes.
We love you anyway.
Thank you. Anyway,
You're welcome.
point being,
We were kids at the park.
Kids at the parks.
That's where we were.
going through the parks as teenage years. Now I know, like Milford and Adrianne didn't start going to. Well, no, Adrianne when she was younger, but I know Milford didn't start going to the parks till like the mid '90s when all the good stuff was gone. Jessica.
Yeah, when I was 30.
Jessica just turned 21 like the other day, so she was. But she's also out on the West Coast, so she's a Disneyland girl. So for the rest of
I'm
us.
gonna be 25 on Wednesday. I feel so old.
Oh, okay.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
That's right. Happy birthday.
We have a bunch of August birthdays here, so
So-
Yeah, we do.
we really
So
do.
happy birthday all around then.
Yay! Woohoo! I need that little. I need sound effects. I need the little horn thing. There it is. Anyway, current.
Well, don't go getting fancy on us with sound effects.
No, nobody uses sound effects here. Not at
No,
all.
nobody uses live sound effects. Nobody was gonna try to do it to make somebody feel more comfortable tonight either, and didn't because I'm so well prepared. Anyway, what a mess. Current state of the parks.
Yes.
I just kind of wanted to get your take on it, Jerry. Like how often now, as an adult working and living up in New York City, which is not very far from me in Connecticut, how often do you get to go now? What's your average? Once a year, every 18 months.
So I'm gonna say it was twice a year at one point, and then I got married, and so that money went very far away from me.
Yeah.
And I was not able to hold my pass holdership until this year. So I'm back to doing twice a year again, hopefully.
Nice.
And we'll see where that goes. But that's kind of what I do. I'll try to do a smaller trip and like a 12-day.
Gotcha.
Kind of way.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So being that, and being just knowledgeable about park stuff in general, like what do you this year has been huge for announcements and change, as we all have known, both stuff that's been planned, last minute stuff, as we know, that just happened in the past few weeks. So besides just complaining about stuff that we missed that we know is never going to come back, what are your general thoughts on kind of the directions that the parks are going? Not just Epcot in general, because I know that's the most major thing that has come out, but now I know you had a chance recently to visit Pandora and see some of the newer stuff that you hadn't seen in a while. I haven't seen that stuff either. I know Adrianne has gotten down there and be able to seen it, and I'm not sure if excuse me, if Crystal has gotten over there because she's a local. So I just getting like, what are your thoughts on it? Because I know you're a nostalgia guy like me, and really miss the original, not just the attractions, but just the storytelling and the way Imagineers designed stuff as compared to kind of how they're doing stuff today. So I just kind of wanted your thoughts on what you think about what's happening now.
Well, while it's fresh in my head, I'm gonna just say the studios. The studios was, well, as you know from earlier in the episode, my home. But even besides that, if it wasn't for MGM Studios, If it wasn't for MGM Studios, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't have been a film major. That wouldn't have ever happened. It was because of things like the Great Movie Ride, and especially things like the Monster Sound Show and ABC. What's it called?
Superstar Television.
Superstars Television. Thank you very much.
That was
as
awesome,
well
man.
as the stunt show, the Indiana Jones stunt show, which is still there.
Yep.
The animation tour and the backlot tour. All those things just opened my imagination and my mind at the time, and it was my favorite park for like the longest time, even though it had not as much as everything else. And it was before there were thrill rides there. It was all just that, and just that was great. That's what I wanted. That's what I liked. And I even like at the end of Monster Sound Show, you go out and they have like these little TVs, and it had like a scene from Roger Rabbit. And you could put your voice over Roger Rabbit's instead. Oh, it was great.
Yes, it did.
So stuff like that, and it all just really made me want to do film. It made me want to be in film and make movies. And the fact that they slowly just said, nope, nah, not that. No, that definitely not that. And just picked everything out. Sometimes leaving it empty. I think the Hunchback Theater was empty for 12 years.
Yeah.
Before they put that Frozen thing in it and then pulled it back out again. I mean,
right.
It was like, why do you have so much space with nothing in it?
Yeah, all those sound stages back there past where Toy Story is, they were dormant. Yeah, like you say, forever until they put that ice rink in there.
I mean, they had Mickey in one of those. I mean, it's just they just kept deciding, well, we'll just take this out. I even liked when they put in the Millionaire thing. When you go in there, it looked like you were a millionaire.
It looked like the show. Yeah, I actually did go and do that once or twice. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it wasn't the most innovative thing, but it was really cool to feel like you're on a soundstage.
It was popular at the time, and that's what people were going to see.
Exactly.
To double back to the Monster Sound Show and Superstar Television, the original Monster Sound Show before the Drew Carey incarnation came on was fantastic. Number one for me, because it was great to see how they do it, and it was always funny because they always knew how to pick the people in the audience that were completely clueless and couldn't figure out. Number one, had no timing whatsoever, and number two, just couldn't think for a second of what's going to be happening, and let's see if I can try to be prepared and actually make it like you were doing it right. I mean, I know that's not what they wanted, because if everybody did it perfect every time, it wouldn't be funny. But for me, as a huge cartoon fan, seeing how, like, the Foley artists, because that's what they were called, who did all the sound effects and stuff for cartoon art, and even for those old black and white films, and Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello stuff. Like, when you slap somebody, it wasn't that loud. You know what I mean? And they were really hitting each other, at least as far as the Three Stooges went. That was fascinating about that show to me. And Superstar Television was great, was because we were on a trip with my whole family there, grandparents and cousins and everything else. And my grandfather got picked to be the guest on the Johnny Carson show, and my younger cousin got to be Little Joe in the Bonanza scene. So that was fantastic. Long before video cameras or cell phones, and they would not give you a video copy of the thing. So there's like no evidence of it ever, which sucks, but that was a lot of fun.
It was the same thing with was it in the Journey into Imagination post show where they had where you were on the bee for Honey I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes.
Oh, that too. Yes. That's another one that's just lost time.
Well, for the Roger Rabbit, too, like back where the Dipmobile was, they had all those scenes you could be with, like, Baby Herman and Jessica Rabbit and all that stuff. Yeah, that was fantastic when they had all that.
That's where they put the AFI stuff.
American Film Institute. Yep.
So they just completely gutted that for kind of another store.
Yeah,
so.
And to what you were saying about, like, the animation tour, that was hands down my favorite thing in the entire world in that park. The original animation tour, like the full, everybody complained it was 35 minutes or whatever the hell it was. I could have sat in there all day and watched the Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams little cartoon, watched them actually drawing things. If you got lucky, you saw them doing, I think Brother Bear was one of the last films they worked on there. And I believe they had live, like, bear cubs in there. And I got, one of the times we were there, we got to see them filming and drawing. Yeah, like,
that's so cool.
No shit. I was like, wow, they really do this like Walt did, on The Wonderful World of Disney. It's like, holy crap. So, yeah, I mean, obviously all that stuff's long gone, and a lot of people probably never even saw that, depending on when you started going to the parks. But, I mean, you missed something special if you didn't get to see it in its original incarnation.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to see them making Lilo and Stitch, and I thought that was really cool.
Oh, nice, yeah.
We didn't have an actual alien in the studio like you did, but I mean, it was still pretty cool to see because, and it was funny because at the time, if you remember, the Disney movies were on the decline. So I was like, oh, it's going to be another Atlantis.
Right.
And came out, and it was like, no, this is great, but then every other movie after that is going to be not so great until 2008, and Bolt is fine, I guess.
Right.
Oh, and then of course Princess and the Frog, which I love.
Yes.
But I mean, there was a big gap of years before a good movie came out.
It was like the 60s all over again. Besides Jungle Book.
Yeah.
But but I mean, like all the, so I mean, studios we know is just turning into Star Wars.
Right.
I don't know.
I love Star Wars. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, me
and
too.
I love Rock and Roller Coaster. And I love Tower of Terror. And I love Toy Story. But where does this all fit in with each other? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't see what they could possibly do. Look, if they can make this cohesive with the Mickey ride and I'm probably one of the only maybe 5 people in the world who like the new animation.
No, I'm with you. You. I like it too.
I loved Ren and Stimpy growing up. It was one of my favorite things, and it's that Spunko style animation where it's a little crude, but it's not. But it gives you that realm of what do you call it? Like it lets you do more things than you can with that traditional animation.
Yes.
It more surreal, let's say,
right.
Where you kind of your mind gets blown a little bit more. Which I like traditional animation a lot. I bought every single Treasure on DVD. I mean, that's the way I am. But I love the new stuff too. So I'm okay with this new ride. I just wish they would have put it in one of the 5,000 empty studios there, rather than saying, let's get rid of the one thing that that I care about.
Right. No, I think many people do. I mean, there's always the jokes, especially floating around on Twitter. Oh, nobody cares about this stuff until, the lines haven't been this long, for Universe of Energy and the Great Movie Ride until they announce that it's gone, which I call bullshit on. Maybe not Universe of Energy, but Movie Ride always had a steady line. There was always at least a 10-minute wait. It may not have been half hour, 45 minutes, but it could get to that. It was still a popular attraction. I mean, granted, when TCM took over and put What's-His-Puss in there kind of narrating it, kind of ruined it a little bit. But yeah, Robert Osborne.
Well, it was great because we got to do one ride without Robert Osborne. It was the tour guide's the tour guide's last tour, and I guess they let her do it without Robert Osborne. It was nice. It was such an amazing ride. It was the only thing it was missing was this is Nostromo, but everything, or not, this is Nostromo, this is Alien, rather.
Alien, yeah.
But that was the only thing missing. Everything else was there, and I was just like, yes, it's the original. So that was kind of cool.
Cool.
But,
so that's a good. So I want to right into that, and like I said at the beginning, I know you probably speak about this at length on Mouse Rants episode, which I saw just came out today.
That's for next week.
Oh, it's for next week?
No, the one that came out today only goes up to Universe of Energy. We talked a little too much, so we have a lot to talk about with Great Movie Rides. So
I can imagine. All right, so if you don't mind, can you just I don't want to ruin it for your audience, but can you just generalize how that was, just being that was a place that you worked and you're one of your favorite attractions, like just how I guess surreal is the right word. I don't know. Just how was it being there and being part of? It's not as exciting as being part of an opening attraction, but it's still got to be an experience that you're always going to remember, obviously, of being there and being able to. Did you get to walk the track?
Yeah, we somehow. I don't believe in luck. I've always been I've had no luck my whole life. Somehow, out of, I think it was 125 people got into that, and that's including the guest, got into the D23 thing.
Right.
And I was one of them. And I don't know how it happened, but it did. And it was really amazing. I was able to walk the track, and they were kind of rushing us along because it was at the beginning of the day rather than at the end of the day.
Okay.
But it was still pretty cool, and we got to talk to one of the original Imagineers, and one of the original, well, not original, but the second generation Mugsies.
Okay.
So that was really amazing, and I don't know, it was a really cool experience to stand, and it's silly because, as I said, I was a cast member there. I could have done that any time I wanted to. I could just walk that track before or after work, but I never did.
No,
I got that opportunity on the day before the last day. So,
and it's probably being that was probably close to 20 years ago doing the college thing, that you've probably gained much more a different appreciation for it now as an adult. So, as it probably, like you said, you probably could have done it whenever the heck you wanted then, but now, and just having more love and passion, or whatever you want to call it, about the parks as a whole, and then that singular attraction probably just was a better experience all in all.
Yeah, I mean, well, as I keep saying, it's the heart of MGM. It's what makes MGM MGM. It was that and the backlot tour and the animation.
Yeah. Without
those two other, organs pumping, we had one left, and that was the heart, which is right there in the center of MGM, and when they took it away, I know some people get mad. Oh, you can't keep calling it MGM. It's gone. MGM's been gone. Blah blah blah. Yeah. But you know what? I don't care. It's where I worked. That's why I call it in the end. But now I can't anymore. I can't because without a Great Movie Ride. It's not. It's
I hear you.
Or whatever it is, or Kaleidoscope Park, or whatever you want to call it. But,
I'm just gonna call it Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be going for. I'm excited to see what they do, but with Great Movie, the walking the track was great, but being on those last 4 rides that we did, one after another, we just jumped online road, and it was it was posted like 110-minute wait, but it was really like a 35-minute wait.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a very strange experience. And each ride, there was like a different emotion. There was one that was the one with the tour guide that was her last. She was crying. Everybody on the thing every single person was crying and clapping. And that should have been our last ride, honestly.
Yeah.
One of our rides, it was funny because there was a crying baby on it, and we were kind of messing around with the family. And that was an experience unto itself. And of course, our last ride had to be what it was, which was just the typical Great Movie Ride of the past 10 years, where the actors were terrible and nobody cared.
And nobody cared, right?
And it was her last tour, and she didn't even care. So I was just like, you have no appreciation. You should not have been here on this day.
That's right.
You should have been someone else.
Yeah.
But in a way, it was bittersweet because that's that's what Great Movie Ride's been, and that's what I got. And you know what, in a way, I was like, that's how it should have ended. Because that'll make me think, well, it needed to go, or it needed to be updated, or whatever it is.
Right.
It'll put some sort of thing into my mind that won't make me upset anymore. Of course, I was depressed the entire way home, and I can't tell you that tears were not shed on Magical Express, and it had nothing to do with leaving Disney since I was only there for a couple days.
Right. No, hey, listen, I hear you. Well, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad you got to be able to experience that, because that's pretty cool. The only other thing I just wanted to, along the same lines of the studios is, I guess is about the direction that Epcot's going, because I know you share a great love for that park as well, as do I. So I just what do you think? I don't know what to think. I've looked many times. I've read everything many times, and I get it, and I don't. And I guess cautious optimism is the word. Like, I'm not poo-pooing or raining on anything, but nothing is exciting me beyond belief, I guess.
Yeah. Well, look, I can tell you one thing. During the D23, which I streamed live on in my group, there was it was an odd feeling while I was watching it, because first of all, they were showing Illuminations for way too long, and if anybody knows me out there, I am probably, besides Simone, I am the biggest proponent of Illuminations. I love Illuminations, the best music of anything in the park, honestly. My opinion, but that's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire time I'm like, please stop, don't show it, because all I can do is go, they're going to take away Illuminations from me now. And I know it's going away soon. I know it is.
Yeah.
And so every time I'm just like, please, just don't do it yet. I need to go. I have a cruise coming up. I want to go to the cruise, the Illuminations cruise.
Right.
So yeah, that is one of my biggest things. But look, obviously, I do not like that they take away things that were the original intention of Epcot, the edutainment, and put in things like Finding Nemo, which is, hey, Nemo's lost again.
Right.
Okay, great. They also removed half of the fish in that tank, and the dolphins don't look happy anymore. I have a hard time walking through the living seas, because it looks like the animals are miserable, and I love animals, and I can't stand seeing that. It just looks dank. It's dark in there. It's not what it was.
Well, it's a shell of what it was. I mean,
everything in that, pretty much.
Right. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I could go on forever about this stuff, but.
So, I mean, that's one thing. But I'm using Living Seas as an example, but it's the same with the land. The land is, it's got the new Soarin' is amazing. I rode it for the first time finally, because I told you I couldn't go for a couple of years, and finally I went, and I was just like, I love this.
Yeah, right. I loved it too.
Yeah, although I don't love the that Ultra HD smoothing nonsense, because it looks so fake when you're flying. It just looks so fake. It looks like soap opera. It's not real. Stop doing that.
I guess it didn't. Either I'm just naive, or it just didn't bother me that much. And like, I'd heard all the negative stuff before I had wrote it the first time, which was in, I don't know, September of last year or April. Right. I don't remember, whatever the hell it was. And I don't know. Maybe I just enjoyed it so much that I looked past it. I don't know. I mean, I got what everybody was saying, but it didn't really bother me that much. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when the ending came, it all went away for me.
I agree. I agree.
Because the original one, I would get choked up just seeing Tinkerbell fly and the whole thing, and it was Disneyland at Christmas time. I've never been, but it was still cool. But holy crap, when they came to Epcot, and I nearly lost it the first time. My kids were like, "What?" I'm like, "You don't understand."
I avoid spoilers like the plague. I had not heard one thing. I did a really good job. Anytime someone would start mentioning it in the podcast, that episode is off. Sorry, not listening anymore.
Yep.
Because I'm worried they're going to mention what's going to happen. So I didn't know what was coming. All I knew was that the soundtrack was still there in another form, and that Patrick Warburton was still in it. And that's only because he tweeted about it.
That's right.
So
Yes, he
That's
did.
the only reason. And so when I did see that it ended at Epcot, my whole body was like, ah.
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
the girls next to me were bawling, so I was in the middle of that. It was an interesting thing, but yeah, it's amazing. So I mean, they got a few things right, but it has nothing to do with edutainment. I mean, this is what I want: another Interventions, a better Interventions, really a Communicore, obviously, but an Interventions would be fine because that's really part of what really defined Epcot. And if you want to do other things, if you want to make a coaster, a Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, but you're still going to infuse a little bit of learning in there, which James Gunn tweeted that, don't worry, it's gonna be what Epcot's supposed to be.
Right, it's supposed to stay in the spirit of Epcot, right.
Right. And if I'm going to trust anybody, it's going to be the guy who made Romeo and Juliet and... Look, I love trauma movies, but whatever. And I love James Gunn, and I'm like, if he says it, then I'm going to believe him for now. So they can do that, but if they add another, if they put Communicore back in there, and they obviously robotics is a complete. I mean, still we haven't perfected robotics. Let's do that. Let's go back to the hey, look what we could do in the future. And you can get our sponsors back, and people will give us money. When I say us, I mean Disney.
Yeah. No, definitely. I know. Yeah, no, you're right.
Then guess what? We're back to Epcot, and then you can do whatever you want around the corners. You can have that awful new mission space that they had put in there. You can have whatever you want. But when you throw in that edutainment back again, you at least know that it's on the right road. It's on the road to what it should have been, But the people of today. Attention span.
Get rid of Gary Sinise. I don't even know why I'm going there anymore.
You see?
Yeah,
exactly.
They kept Patrick Warburton for Soarin'. They could have kept Lieutenant Dan for Mission Space. That's all I asked.
Gina Torres. It's Gina Torres, and that's what you get. Apparently.
Nope, I got no reason to go over to Future World West, which was the best part of Future World back in the day, is now completely just dead.
It's the Wild Wild West.
Ugh. This is a wild suck.
It's the wild mess.
I'll go ride Figment now instead of going on that again.
Not anymore.
Yeah, Figment's gone too.
Well, I know. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Well, I can tell you this: we are going on Mission Space at the meetup. So, but don't worry, we're not going on the spinny one. We're going on the really bad new one. So, but it's okay. We're gonna make it good. There are buttons, and when you put me around buttons, it's gonna be fun.
Oh, you need to push the buttons.
Don't push the red button.
Oh, yeah, I push every button.
That was the downfall of the. That was the downfall of the first one. There was no punishment if you didn't push the buttons.
Well, it hasn't changed.
No, I know. I'm sure it hasn't. Well, why are they going to plus it and make it better? They're just going to. Okay, people are complaining. Change the movie. This will keep them happy.
Yeah.
Push the button.
People are complaining. Give him a fourth finger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Happy, joy. All right. Well. Okay. So, I think unless anybody has anything else we would like to discuss with Jerry, I think it's a good time to wrap this up.
I say two quick things about Pandora, real quick.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, I did mention that. Yeah, go for it.
Definitely.
Number one, Pandora looked amazing during the day. At night, they said everyone talked it up. I went there and I'm like, wow, they have glow in the dark stuff. That's great. I didn't see anything special personally about it, but Flight of Passage, phenomenal. Absolutely
Amazing.
Even the queue, I would wait. I almost did wait 3 hours on the queue. We were doing that. We were going to record an entire episode on the queue. That was going to be what we did. But it was, even though it said it was 150 minutes, it went by in 40. So we were not able to. But the queue is. I would sit on there and look at everything for the longest time. There's so much stuff there to look at. So
It's even the outside part. I'm sorry, I'm completely obsessed with that queue line too. Even then, you get to the bioluminescent section, and it's phenomenal. But I'm with you on the nighttime stuff. You're like, ooh, it's pretty, and logistically, I have no idea where I'm going.
And it's really dark.
It's really dark, and I don't.
Really dark.
We got separated at one point. I was like, I'm yelling out Marco for my husband because I have no idea.
And Navi River Journey, I will probably never go on it again. It was really boring. I'll go on if there's no line, obviously, but I'm not waiting on another hour-long line to go on something like that. So
Yeah, it's pretty, and the song gets stuck in your head for like a week and a half. But then,
Oh dear.
yeah,
but nothing happens, guys.
but nothing happens. It's
No.
It's just you're there and then you're not. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like Splash Mountain, and then I got to the next scene and I went, oh, it's not like Splash Mountain. All the animatronics are working. No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. I liked Pandora, but I didn't think it was the most amazing thing. Although the hype for Flight of Passage is it
Well
really
worth it.
should. Yeah, exactly. That hype is real. Let's do it.
Wow. Okay. Glad to hear that. I mean, I haven't heard one negative thing about it, and pretty much the same. When Adrianne had gone a couple weeks ago, she'd said the same thing, and then pretty much it's resonated throughout everything I've ever read about either one of those attractions. Is pretty much the exact same thing as what both of you have said. So that's good. I guess good on them. Yeah, they got that right. They got that right. So let's make it work with their own stuff instead of Titanic Boys stuff now.
Please.
All right, so
boy.
well, I mean, that's what he's known for.
What about the Terminator?
Oh, that's right. Well, the original one. Who knows anything about that? It's all about the second one with that movie, with that franchise.
Hey, hey, Adrianne.
Yes.
I love Newsies. Just wanted to tell you.
Thank you. Thank you. Movie deserves more appreciation.
I agree.
I've never seen it.
You should.
So
Slacker.
I know.
Go see
I
it
know.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay. Let me call my boss now.
It's like an hour and a half, RJ. I know you stay up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. You got this.
All right. Can I get it on Netflix?
I'm about to look. I'm pretty
All
sure
right.
it is.
Or any of those other streaming services?
You mean Cody? Yeah, you
Yeah.
can find it there.
Oh, no.
All right, so before we wrap up, Jerry, you got some stuff you want to plug? Tell us where we can find you, where we can get you, your podcast, and anything else you want to spit out.
Sure, if you're over 18 and you have a parental guidance or what have you. No, just over. It's NC-17. How about that? You have to be 17 or older to listen. No, our show's Mouse Rants. You can find us at Mouserants.gq, and that's where you'll find all of our old episodes and new episodes. So that's a good thing to do. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Jerry the Skids. That's why he's saying that, because Jerry Skids was taken by some creep. But that creep is not me. I'm the good one. So at Jerry the Skids.
And he's super responsive.
Yes. Hey, I will respond way more than other people. Thank you very much.
Yes, I know.
Oh, and again, to all the listeners, if you follow me, I have opinions on things that you might not agree with, so just warning you. Sometimes I just do it for comedic effect, but you probably will get offended, whoever you are. So, sorry.
That's what the internet's for.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Very good. Thank you, Jerry, for coming on. I'd loved hearing about all that stuff because it was definitely all new information to me. Definitely the cast member end of it. So I'm glad the experience was pleasurable for you, and that it, kept you coming back to Disney and all that.
I thought you meant the show. I thought you meant the experience of being on the show was pleasurable. I was like,
oh, well,
right.
I hope so, too. But
I didn't tell you that yet. But yes, I was going to say thank you for having me on because you guys are awesome. And, I'm glad I got to meet the people who were not RJ and Milford because you guys are old news already. But hi, everybody else. Nice meeting you.
Listen.
Hey, RJ.
Yes, sir.
So, quick update from this last weekend from the Indianapolis Disney.
Oh, yes, that's right. How did that go?
It was awesome. Yeehaw Bob actually performed for like 2.5 hours. I don't know how that man goes for 2.5 hours doing what he does. Such a high energy show, and I'll try and post a couple of the videos that some people took, but it was freaking awesome.
Cool.
We ended up raising $24,500, just shy of $25,000 for Give Kids the World Saturday. So
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that will almost send 5 families to Disney World
That's awesome.
for Make-A-Wish.
Fantastic.
So,
Well done.
Yeah, it was a really good time. There were quite a few podcasters there. Mike Rallman was there. The Behind the Ears guys were actually there. Fangirl. She's somebody in Indianapolis that does a podcast about Marvel and Star Wars and all kinds of Comic-Con kind of stuff. She was there as well, and no, it was a really good time. So
awesome. How many pictures did you take with the 501st?
Actually, just the one video. I didn't get much time since I had a booth, so I didn't have much time to do a lot of taking pictures. So sad, but
yeah,
next year.
Yeah, that's all. All right, cool.
So,
good. I'm glad that you had a great turnout, and it was.
Yeah.
That's a nice amount of money. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, with that being said, we're gonna wrap this episode up. We thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Follow our troupe at www.dizexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at the Diz Explorers, and on Twitter and Instagram at the Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Some imagination, huh?